Hi there, today I want to discuss with you the Sarah Womonka. She was born around the year 1844. She was the daughter of Tum Tubonton, a northern Paiute woman, and Womonka, a Shoshone man who was adopted into the northern Paiute community through marriage. Tom Boylton and Womonka named their daughter Somethony, which meant shellflower. At the time of Sarah's birth, the northern Paiute were a nomadic people who inhabited the lands known today as western Nevada and eastern Oregon. Sarah spent her early childhood traveling from encampment to encampment with her family, learning the ways of her people. From an early age, Sarah received conflicting messages about the white settlers. The northern Paiute generally treated all white settlers with suspicion, knowing that white settlers frequently tried to rob indigenous people of their goods and land. But Sarah's grandfather, Truquizo, was a renowned warrior who aided the Americans during the Mexican-American War. She wanted Sarah and her siblings to learn how to work with white settlers because he believed that this was the best way for them to advance in a rapidly changing world. Truquizo took Sarah with him on traveling journeys to California and oversaw her placement with white American families as a domestic servant. During these interactions, Sarah learned to read and write English and Spanish. She learned about the cultural and practices of the white settlers. It was during this time that she took the name Sarah, which she used publicly for the rest of her life. Sarah's understanding of both Northern Paiute and American culture and make her fierce and skilled advocate for her people, but it also made her outsider in both American and Western Paiute society. So I want to discuss the milestones in her life. Early life and education was basically 1844. Beginning from there. So Sarah was born near Humboldt Lake, Nevada, into an influential Northern Paiute family. That her early years that I just discussed was basically marked by a mix of traditional Paiute life and interactions with European Americans, including attending Catholic school in San Jose, California, where she learned to read and write English. Now, 1860, Pyramid Lake War. During this Pyramid Lake War between the Paiute and settlers, Sarah served as a translator and mediator. Now, the conflict was significant, was so important in shaping her views on the interactions between Native Americans and settlers. So, 1871, work was enrolled in Indian affairs. At the age of 27, Womonka began working as an interpreter for the Bureau of Indian Affairs at Fort McDermott. This role expanded her involvement in advocacy and gave her insights into government operations concerning Native American affairs. In 1878, Sarah played a super important role as an interpreter, which she still began. She still continued her experiences in translating, interpreting, negotiators during the Bannock War, helping the community to communicate between Paiute bands and U.S. military forces. Her efforts were so significant, and it was just so helpful for everyone. Her efforts highlighted her commitment to peace and understanding. Now, in 1883, the publication of Life Among Putes, Sarah published her book, Life Among the Putes. There runs and claims, which is considered um, the first known autobiography written by a Native American woman. Remember, this is the ever first time that this kind of book was published and released. So Following her, this book is very considered the autobiography, and this work detailed the challenge the faced by the Paiute people during their first 40 years of contact with European Americans. So, in this is the voices of a thoughtful critic of Anglo-American culture while recounting the broad legacy of federal lands, including the Nevada's Pyramid Lakes in Oregon, Malheur region, recently the site of a militia takeover. So, following her book's publication in 1883 and to 1884, Sarah toured the eastern United States, given nearly 300 lectures to raise awareness about the injustice faced by Native Americans. She became known as a significant activist and spokeswoman for her people. Founding in the Peabody Indian School, which in 1884, she, after returning to Nevada, Sarah and her brother they want to do something, and then so they be a school at Lovelock to promote Paiute culture and language. That this endeavor represented her commitment to education as a means of the powerful means the empowerment basically for Native American children. So she furious Sarah just broadened her campaign to secure justice for her people. And Sarah gave over 300 lectures about the stories and plight of Northern Paiute. But in the end, she grew frustrated and disillusioned with white audiences. In her lectures, Sarah spoke plainly about how white settlers were aggressors in the West, but her audience did not want to abandon their romantic ideas of Western settlement. So this is basically what's happening. And in 1885, she returned to Yakima Reservation to start the school, and even just this more modest act was doomed to failure. In 1887, the U.S. government passed the Dulles Act, which in part required that indigenous children go to schools exclusively owned and operated by white people. So Sarah's school was shut down by then. Then Sarah passed her final years quietly until she died of consumption in 1891. She failed to bring about the changes she wanted to see for her people, but her activism left an impression for us. So her passing was marked by an obituary in the New York Times, a testament of how she raised consciousness about the plight of indigenous people in the U.S. She cared a lot about them. So the Indian princess who said what she saw. As a translator for the Northern Paiute, Sarah Womka was an outspoken critic of their harsh treatment in the American West. So she said that I have said everything I could in your behalf. I have suffered everything but death to come here with this paper. I don't know whether it speaks truth or not. You can say what you like about me. You have to say, I have told you it looks so. I have told you many things which were not my own words, but the words of agents and the soldiers. I have never told you my own words. They were words of the white people, not mine. So, if her speeches and writings did not make the changes she hoped for, they remained a vivid, eloquent testimony of her life spent speaking for others. Thank you for listening.